This is Masters of the Market. I'm Johnson Andrews.
And I'm Eric Clary. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody. This is our first podcast shoot of 2024, which is exciting. We got a guest that I know actually very well that we've been working with for 7 years.
7 years, yeah.
At least. Yeah. He was with me back when we had the tiny little storage office.
Off of Welland Ave.
Off of Welland Ave, right across from
alley.
Gales. So anyways, guys, we've got Andrew here, who is one of the owners of ServiceMaster. He actually has a few locations, and they operate at a few different cities, which is really cool. So thank you so much for coming on, first off. And
thanks for having me. It's
of
awesome.
course.
Awesome
Of course. So yeah, we'll let you jump right in. Tell the guests a little bit about yourself, what got you into it, and a little bit about the business, and then we'll just sort of dive into a few different things to start to understand how you got there, the strengths that you've have, the horrible lessons you've had to learn, and we're excited to have that conversation.
Awesome. Yeah, no, so personally, Andrew Jackson, once again, I'm a dad of 4 kids, so beautiful wife, so family's great, love spending lots of time with my family. It's kind of why I do it, right? Yeah. To eventually, or I'm fooling myself, I don't know if eventually I think I'm going to get more time with family, and that's why I'm grinding so hard. But that's kind of the ultimate goal. It's more time with family for me.
Cool.
ServiceMaster Restore. So Niagara was our first one in Ontario. We've been here for just about 7 years. So I think it was around the same time you guys started up.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah,
with Orange List there. So.
Yeah, we incorporated in 2018, but we started in 2015.
Right. Yeah. So I remember going, marketing to you guys. Like, we just got to town 7 years ago, and we were bringing, donuts and cookies to your office there. And
that's still why I look like this, was the donuts you brought me 7 years ago.
Yeah. So it's been just like in July, it'll be 7 years. The growing pains they've been insane. So it started with my partners and I. So 3 of us and a couple minivans, and now we're up to just about 50 people. Like, that's just in Niagara, 50 people. Yeah. And I would tell you how many vehicles, but I don't even know. Like, it's like, our dealer will email us like, hey, there's another couple to sign for. And Justin and I look at each other. Did you order more? But yeah, it seems like every month we're getting a new vehicle. And so the yellow trucks you guys see driving around Niagara, that's us, right? Yeah. ServiceMaster. And so when we were doing so well here, we keep reinvesting. We're young, we're motivated. Really believe in treating people well, which is why we've kept our people for so long.
Absolutely.
And in this industry, turnover's huge. Like, it's really quick, but we've, like, our first employee after the 3 of us, we hired Jeremy, who looks after Orange List now. He was our first employee, hired him as a laborer, water tech, 6.5 years ago. And he's still with us, and he's a project manager. He's worked his way up. He's got a company truck, salary, right? So our first our first carpenter is now a construction manager, right? So we really believe in, just building people,
investing in your people, creating an environment in which they want to stay.
Exactly.
Because the reality is that to turn over your staff, it becomes difficult because it's not only losing the value that they originally brought, but it's the time you have to spend training someone else and creating that loyalty where, like you said, there typically is the turnover. The fact is that if you have people believing what it is that you're doing and providing the good service, it's only going to lead to more business for you ultimately, right? So if they like what they're doing, if your staff likes what they do, it then is conveyed onto the client. The client's going to have a better experience, which hopefully then leads to more and more referrals, more and more projects, more and more money for you, right? So
100%.
that's really cool that you've retained your staff for that long, but also given them opportunities to grow.
Yeah, it's awesome seeing, how we've impacted their families, right? And changed, because obviously, more money in their pockets, they can buy a house and
travel once a year or twice
exactly.
a year.
One of our first guys, I won't name any names, but sitting beside me, because we were doing everything. We were in the field, right? My partners and I, so we're at a job together, and he's like, yeah, I'll never buy a house, right? And I kind of stopped him right there, and I'm like, dude, you will buy a house, right? And then to see 4 years later him buy a house, like
off a
super
T4 that your company created.
exactly,
That
super rewarding.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so.
I remember when I bought my first house, I called my original mentor to thank him just for the opportunity
Right.
that he had originally given me, the guidance throughout in order to allow me to get to that position.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm always going to feel like I'm indebted to him because of that. And now it's at the point where I get to do that with some of my staff as well. And it
Yeah.
is really fulfilling because to me, there's the opportunity, obviously, where you've grown dramatically, very quickly.
Yeah, it's been insane.
And it's more, you get to help so many people in terms of when they're under a time of duress. Like I say, Eric, when
Yeah.
he had a flood the other day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, so you build relationships there, but then you also have the relationships with your staff where you can see how you're impacting their lives for the better as well. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
No, it's awesome. Super rewarding.
We're going to talk about that a little bit today, guys. Not only do we have a professional relationship where you've done hundreds of projects for Orange
Yeah.
List, which is my management company that I'm a co-owner, co-founder of. And, you know, you guys were at my house 3 weeks ago because I had a massive flood. And obviously I didn't think to call anybody else except for you guys.
Right.
You know, when I think of like, holy crap, the world's coming to an end. There's water, there's, you know, restoration, emergency response. You guys obviously service my investors. We put all that trust in you guys to show up and take care and remediate situations in a professional, effective way. It was, I don't want to say it's cool that my basement flooded, but it will help me really solidify some of the services that Orange List is able to provide because of the relationships we built with people like you.
Yeah, and how
Right,
your
like-
tenants feel in those situations as well, right?
Of
You're
course.
kind of live that firsthand.
Yeah. So I mean, we could sort of run through, you know, one of the major things you got. We want to focus on larger macro things, I guess, during this conversation.
Right.
Business, how people can get into the industry, what it
Yeah.
takes. But from a customer service standpoint, you know, you guys showed up and absolutely crushed it for me, right? Like I called, but was it Lisa?
So Lisa, she was our project manager that was on call.
That's right. So I called Lisa. It was 1:55 in the morning, you know, and you guys were there by 2:30. It was like 30 minutes after.
Yeah.
You guys were sucking water out of my basement and you know, getting the carpet out and whatnot. So I've heard of other situations with people, and obviously their experiences aren't as positive as mine. So,
Right.
you know, I guess from a larger business standpoint, without getting too nitty gritty into mine per se, you know, what did you guys want to do differently? Obviously, ServiceMaster is a large worldwide brand. Is it worldwide? Is it North American?
Yeah, it's worldwide, mostly North American, but all over the world.
So
for
what-
sure.
when
Like
you
thousands of franchises.
For sure. So when you came into the business, obviously you had some guidance onto
Yeah.
standards, and I'm not sure how that.
Yeah, it's all I've ever done, honestly.
Yeah.
Like right out of high school, so it's all I've done. I started, and I think that's what separates us is my partners and I. We all started in the field, worked our way up, right? So, you know, Billy and I started as water techs, and Justin was a journeyman carpenter. So, we started, you know, sucking out the water, hauling out carpet, like.
All the pieces too that I never thought of. Like you guys, like I'm learning as this happened because now it's happened to me. Like
Right.
there's electronic technics that come in,
Exactly.
and they were checking all my
Yep.
my
We got
Apple TVs
the
and
appliance
my,
company
Yeah, right. So, what did you because you bought into a franchise, so obviously you had to make a decision. Do you build your own brand from scratch, or do you tap in and still build your own company, but under an umbrella that's already recognized and well known?
Right.
What made you want to make that decision? Because you had the experience, which you carried over into the franchise.
Yeah.
But what made you want to partner with ServiceMaster?
Yeah, we could definitely, whatever, Van Wyck, Callan, Jackson Holdings, or restoration company, we can name it whatever we want. But at the end of the day, in this industry, you need to be with a brand. You know, you're going to market yourself to, you know, Intact and Cooperators and some really big insurance companies. And the mom paws don't really get those national contracts. So,
Sure. Okay.
So that's where the brand comes in. And honestly, like ServiceMaster, and I'm not saying this just because we own, you know, 3 or 4 ServiceMasters.
Yeah.
It's definitely the best one, most recognized.
Yep.
You know, yeah, the vans cost, you know, whatever, $5,000 to wrap or to paint, but it's a moving billboard, right? Like everybody knows what we do and who we are. And I honestly, like, I think ServiceMaster is the best franchise for, like, in in the restoration industry.
It's giving you a platform to then grow your own business as well, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the big thing there is that it gives you a brand that's recognized, in which that then you can stand behind and go and then talk to clients, potential referral partners, etc.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, though, it is you and your partners in which that are
Yeah.
closing those transactions or those partnerships, right?
Yes, we get those national deals and the preferred vendor list, but locally, we're the ones showing up at Orange List.
Yeah.
We're the ones showing up at local brokers and events.
And you become a name that's known, and then people want to work with you.
Yeah.
And I think one thing I'm always curious about, because knock on wood, that I haven't experienced this personally, right?
He does live on the water.
Elevated. But one thing I haven't experienced it personally, though, is I haven't experienced that in terms of a flood or needing this. Right. Now, clients, when you get those calls, right, how do you manage their stress levels? Because they're going through something in which that they don't necessarily know what they're doing.
Right.
Because you're also playing part therapist, as well as doing your thing, right?
Yeah, especially after a fire.
Yeah.
Right? Like the
I was thinking only floods, water and fire. Like
like we do some pretty crazy things, during crazy times in people's lives, right? And like this is their most expensive asset. This is their most expensive investment.
Or your
their
familial
home,
memories, right? At the same time.
Yeah, and so we deal with fires, right? And fires, floods. We do mold, asbestos. We do trauma cleanups, which can be sad and emotional, dealing with the clients as well.
Yeah.
It is emotional. Like even me, like honestly, man, not that like I had to convince myself a few hours in. I'm going to talk personal because this kind of ties in. Watching my son's stuff, in his bedroom. There's a box that I had of stuff that I volunteered at Hockey Canada, Pan Am Games.
Right.
It was in sewage water. Like, what am I going to do? I convinced myself it's only stuff, right? It's material things, but it did really feel nice knowing that not only did I trust and have a relationship with you guys, you guys went through all my stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
Like collectible items that I have in drawers that are put in boxes. My kid's clothing from his closet is hanging in boxes in my garage, protected, and it felt good knowing you guys cared so much to make sure it wasn't just another day. That was kind of the feeling I got.
For sure, we're not.
And I was checking in because I'm. It's my house. It's my personal stuff.
Yeah, he was checking. I got a few calls at dinner time. I had to run away and answer.
Yeah, you answered my call all the time.
That's what we do, right?
We've been working for 7 years. How many times have I called you? It's my house, so like I trust you guys to go in. I'm not checking in on you. It's my own house, and but it was emotional, man. Watching my son's room get completely dismantled, and him. Going and my kids, like you guys, how many toys did you throw out? They're just toys. I get it's material stuff. Yeah. My house didn't burn down. I'm very capable at looking at the positivity and everything. No one died. Like it sucks. Yeah. It's annoying. It's inconvenient. But like when you said that, it almost brought a little water to my eyes because like I can imagine people like you're trying to recover anything salvageable. Yeah. And these people's accumulated their whole lives. Like I have stuff from. I have a photo frame that was in that closet that my dad gave me when I was 7 years old. Yeah. Like, I've had it for 25 years. Luckily, some of it got saved. But anyways, you guys definitely, and it's a really excellent question because you can make or break, right? And it's no different than my company when people call in. They don't call you excited. You're not getting phone calls from people that are renovating their bath. Maybe you do sometimes.
Never.
But no, okay,
never. Yeah.
Oh my God, my wife and I saved, and we're building a bathroom that she's always like. I get those calls, and that's rewarding from start to finish. Like there's nothing painful.
You get the planned renos. We get the unplanned renos.
Yeah. That's tough, man. So I mean,
it's hard.
To dive in deep. Like how do you make sure your staff are empathetic? Which your staff were empathetic to me.
Yeah. So
and yes, I give you guys lots of business, but I can see that it's consistent in your operation.
100%. Yeah, it's definitely it's white glove service. We're not a general contractor. Like our guys don't go in and rip and tear. Yeah. Right. We build containments. We put in air scrubbers. Make sure we have dust control. Dealing with people. Right. And there's a lot of coaching and a lot of training and I think that's a huge benefit in having business partners. And there's 3-4 of us involved every day. Right. And we're kind of coaching and training our leaders, and then they're going to coach and train, the people underneath them, right, who they're leading. So
within your partners, okay, because that's a good point that that you've made. You have different views on things, right? Where then you can combine them to make hopefully one super brain. You can call it in terms of how you're going to train everyone.
Yeah.
Now, how do you guys manage that when it comes to, say, training, decisions, etc.? Because it's very difficult for someone to grow a business from by themselves on their own.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're working with multiple different people to build something, how do you guys kind of defer? Who takes charge? Like, how do you guys kind of set that up when you're having those discussions
Division
about
of labor.
decisions
Right.
on how you're going to grow the business or handle different things?
Yes, we've always just kind of chatted, and obviously we've had meetings, but some of the best decisions and plans and visions have come from late night group texts to each other.
Okay.
Like our brains unfortunately never go off. So we're always on the same page. Like honestly, I have the best business partners. Like they're unreal, right? We all have each other's backs, and we're not even the boss anymore. So we've hired a boss, right? So we have
awesome.
Stephanie's our director of business operations, and we needed it, right? Because we're honestly three idiots who were figuring it out. I think I heard Eric say in a few, you and Brian just had to figure it out to get, to get where you.
And it's one of those things that I found where it's difficult to manage people. Okay.
Yeah.
You become, in most cases, if you have a business that you're starting, it's because you're very good at it, right? I'm very grateful that I was very good at doing mortgages and finding business. And it got to a point there where I was finding so much business, I then needed support staff.
Right.
What I realized is I'm not at times the best boss, but it's something that I'm doing to try and adjust and everything else moving forward, right? So then for you guys, to me, what I do is I outsource everything, right? If I'm not the best at it, I outsource it so that I can do what I'm good at.
Smart.
For you guys, now it gets to the point where you've grown to the point where you need it, right? But at the same time, it's one of those things where because you have realistically the shared brain, right, of three different people, what maybe one of you is lacking, the other can pick up the slack. And it's just about having the respect with your partners to know, okay, this isn't my area of expertise or what I'm the best at. I'm going to let you run with that idea.
And we're all, that's like Billy's our numbers guy, right? Justin's our technical guy, and I was always kind of, show up and sell and market. But we've all, once again, we're kind of a unicorn because we've all started in the field and we've done everything in this industry.
And that's the
biggest
thing.
We just got hit with a big storm, this past week. And we can all jump back in there and be project managers again.
Yeah.
And that's
we can be a mitigation manager. We can be a construction manager. We've kind of done it all, right? And now, with 50 people under us, we don't have to do it on the day to day. We can work on the business, and like we travel, right? So my business partners, they love catastrophes. So like after Hurricane Fiona, so we go out east. We go to all these flash floods. So we're ready and we're able and we have the time because we have home base covered with the amount of people we have
and
here.
I think that also then commands respect within your workforce as well, that you can do it. It's not like you're just screaming from the rooftops, work harder. If anything comes down to where you need to get your hands dirty, you still know what you are doing. And then the best way to actually know how to manage a business is to go through it yourself and see the gaps where maybe other people had it, where I would do that differently, and then apply it yourself when you're now running the show.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's. I mean, there's two things. We're all business owners here, and have done it very successfully, and it's not arrogant to say that, right? So, it's important when we want people to watch a show like this and learn. And I think one of the big things I know I could talk about forever, but we'd like to hear it from your side. How important is it to find those strategic partnerships that help propel your business forward in such ways? Not to give myself too much credit here, but to partner with companies like Orange List that are going to be loyal and send you guys that business for 7 years straight, right? Like, how important are those relationships in scaling? Because, obviously there's some trust that needs to happen. Definitely. You got to be on top of those relationships. What would you tell people that are currently either own businesses or starting a business? How important is it? And it's uncomfortable sometimes. Sometimes you go, not that it was uncomfortable to come to a little Orange List office and say, hey, that was probably easy, right? It worked out great for both of us. But there's some fields where maybe you got to go sit down with a C-level executive. Exactly. And you got to go to a law firm and you got to start at the bottom and work your way up. Like, tell people how important that is, how to overcome maybe some of those fears of who to approach and why to approach them. So I think that can be a lot of value.
Yeah, no, it's definitely important to have these relationships, like with property managers, right? Like a lot of restoration companies, they don't even consider property managers, right? Like they're like, no, I just want the good insurance claims. I don't want the mold in the basement. I don't want that crappy little leak from Orange List. We take
There's
them all.
lots of those.
Honestly, like we've gotten here because we've never said no to that small stuff, and we want that, right? We see the big picture. We're going to service you. You have a basement flood. Who'd you call?
Yeah.
Right. So we like to look at the big picture like that. Sure. These relationships are really important, not just the insurance ones, but property managers as well. We can't rely on the weather. We have a team, like I said, we're close to 50 people.
You got fixed costs, right? Like so
we can't be looking at the weather and like, oh, because we guarantee hours as well.
Yeah.
So
that's what
I know
I mean.
Some of our competitors, they send people home if they're not busy. So having these relationships and the residual kind of work that comes, stuff you won't even think about, like you'll know, like fridge lines, you know, a little pinhole floods a house, wash machines, back up, anywhere there's plumbing, right? So people always think, you know, it's just rain and, you know, storms and fires, but there's a lot that's like dishwashers that you wouldn't even think about.
Where the little things add up to a big thing.
So
right?
Orange List is managing, I don't know, even over 1,000, I would imagine.
Units,
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a lot of plumbing. That's, you know, a lot of bathrooms, a lot of kitchens.
We called you 5 or 6 times, maybe more now, since I've called you for my basement.
Exactly. Especially after the last.
Yeah.
And then I think too, speaking on what you were talking about in terms of creating relationships, when you're getting started, if someone's listening to this, you need to be uncomfortable hearing no, right? Yeah. I think people now like easy, okay? And they find it difficult. Like you said, you first met, you brought donuts in, right? Yeah. Well, doing that and walking in, Eric could have told you to beat it or fuck off, excuse my language. But then you wouldn't have necessarily taken that as a loss. It's a learning opportunity about how can you engage someone differently the next time.
Exactly.
And I think right now it's not about just going for the easy connections to grow a business. Everyone thinks it's easy, but I've heard no from probably 100 different realtors, accountants, financial advisors, et cetera, I wanted to work with. But then you find the ones in which that you do connect with, but you also hone your craft on how you engage with them and add value. Yeah. And I think that's one thing by the sounds of it in terms of what you guys do. And my mindset is I'm not looking at potential partners as a way for me to make money when I go to them. I go to them and say, this is how by working with me, you can make more money.
Absolutely.
Because if you're going to be benefiting from working with me, subsequently, I will benefit too.
Exactly.
Right? So instead of selfishly looking at everyone, look at it how you can make them more money, and then your life just becomes much more easy.
Definitely. And I think, sorry, Eric, I think it's important to not close the doors on the no's.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you slam the door on us, we're not stopping there. So it's funny, like being here, being a successful, you know, the biggest and best restoration company, not to toot our own horn,
that's true,
in Niagara, right?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
We're the best here. And then, so finally with people in place, I'm selling and marketing again. Yeah. So I'm going to an office. I went to an insurance broker in Niagara Falls, and, you know, I dropped off some Beechwood donuts, not cheap donuts.
There you go, bring the good stuff.
Sorry, Eric, I missed your office that day. But and then I do a follow-up email, you know, on the Monday, and then I get a response saying, sorry, you know, we don't need you. We have our restoration providers, right? And at first I'm like, are you kidding me? But I'm not letting that door shut. I'm gonna keep marketing
to
that
them
company. Wait till I get our spice.
And then But the one thing there is, like, when someone says no, right? To me, it's just not no. It's not right now, because I've established myself. You've established yourself as someone in which that you are the best. Okay, I like to think I am. That's just the way that I think. Right. But realistically, I know that if someone doesn't want to work with me now, the person they are working with will screw up eventually, and then they will come to me, and then I won't.
Yeah. Right? You don't wish bad upon it, but I
let people do what they're going to do, right? Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, I think my processes are better than what other people do, and eventually be within their flawed process, they will screw something up, and that will lead to them looking elsewhere, and then I want to make sure I'm still top of mind. Right? And that's why you don't go away when they say we're still good. You want to just be present.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then just to wrap this up before we go on to the next, and I think there's no better way to exemplify what it is we're all trying to say to people here. Like you just mentioned, right? And your staff, it was cool to hear how thankful and appreciative they were of me, right? And being Orange List, because like when things slow down, Orange List, to my knowledge, what I was told, fills in some of those gaps.
Exactly.
With a fridge line, so now strategically on your end, and how we can tie this in so other people understand, when you came to me, and I don't know if you've ever even said this, maybe you have, but as a trusted management company, people obviously have experiences on their own personal houses and on their own. When Orange List gets to say we're partnered with the #1 restoration company in the region, being ServiceMaster, that's good for my business.
Exactly.
Not only are you, but so people can go out and not only say here's what we can do for you, but here's how this can even be part of your pitch. Like PayProp, for instance, as a payment software is part of my pitch.
Right.
ServiceMaster as restoration. Like me and Brian are closing these buildings and these contracts. It's not just Eric and Brian and Orange List and here's my team.
Yeah.
Here's why we're good. It's not just because of our personal brand. We work with all these other brands. So you hire me for 8% a month off your gross rent. Look at what you get. And it's not to say that you guys aren't a credible
You get
company.
the masters of the market.
But it's you know,
ServiceMaster. Right? That's what you get.
It's not to say that they couldn't call you directly, but obviously people are smart enough to know relationships matter, right? You guys might have not. You guys are great. I'm not sure timelines, but that was fast to be at my house. I'm sure part of that was dependent on our relationship. No different than the landlord that calls you from British Columbia that you've never talked to, that you have no relationship with, mentions is a small issue at his house. I don't know how you guys handle that, but I know when Orange just calls you, it's treated as everything else.
Differently,
So these owners get to tap into a whole network, and that's just our business.
It's economies of scale at the end of the day, right?
Definitely.
Because
relationships are huge.
Relationships are huge. Realistically, like Eric mentioned, because he has so many rental units that you guys service, you might be showing up a little bit quicker for Eric than you would someone else for any of his tenants, right?
I'll tell him that anyways.
But that's something in which on Eric's side of things that he can leverage, that he has access to ServiceMaster, but at the same time you guys benefit because Eric has so many properties. More people want to work with Eric because he has that relationship with you where you do so many projects. When he needs you, you're going to go there because it's a valuable relationship to you.
Well, it's nice for you. I know one of the benefits, not to carry on too long, but for you guys and even me in this industry with construction and you know, there's that thing in the back of your mind sometimes where you don't know this person. Are they going to pay? Right? At least when you're doing stuff on a consistent basis with trusted people that you've collabed with for years, like obviously we're not sending you clients. I'm sure there's been tough ones. They're negotiating. That's just part of the game. But there's that extra level of confidence and trust. And I think that's a smart way for any business owner is to really start, you know, pinpoint whether it's insurance companies, management companies, certain trades, whatever it may be. You start to solidify those relationships and you can grow. It's so difficult as an entrepreneur. We all know that. But you can start to grow in a more, I guess, consistent way, knowing that, okay, we're going to go send 20 guys to Orange List houses for the next 2 weeks, but at least we're going to get paid on all of them in a timely manner, right? So so to wrap up the thing, what would say is your biggest challenges growing and scaling in a franchise, being the one that you're in? What's next? Like,
what are you excited about?
What were some of the challenges to get to 4 locations, right?
So, well, we have 3 offices, but really we own 5 territories because like Niagara Falls and St. Catharines are 2. Yeah. And then Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge. That's 2 different ones, but we just operate it as one. Sure. And then we have an office in Guelph as well. Yeah. So yeah, 3 locations right now. Yeah. Stephanie's always saying, don't even think about adding anymore. But I think the guys were just texting last night about Montreal. So who knows? Right?
I just opened an office in Montreal. So
you did? Okay. Maybe we should chat about Montreal.
There it is.
But yeah, just super motivated to keep servicing, you know, the territories we do have, keep building people, you know, doing it our way, right? Because, you know, I think we have a secret sauce and it's working. And, you know, between treating people well, check us out on socials, right? We give back to the community. We just bought a fire truck for Christmas parades and grape and wine. And like, that's awesome. So we really invest in community events and giving back and being a part of the community. So sponsorships, huge, right? So
what's next?
Super excited.
What's next? What's the next? Like, are you so Montreal?
Yeah.
So is it like just gonna keep?
That's just starting to chat. But I mean, you know, there's a lot of older ServiceMaster owners in Ontario. Yeah. We don't want to spread ourselves too thin, but if we have a key person, we'll go anywhere with that key person. We need a local owner, right? So we have a local owner in Kitchener. We have a local owner in Guelph. Yep. We're not greedy. We want to share it because we can go further and grow further, right?
It is. So, and I think that's a unique way to look at it as well. Speaking on people graduating, all these business owners, small business owners, their succession plan was for their kids to take it over.
Right.
A lot of kids don't want to do that right now, so there's plenty of opportunity where you have someone that's ran a very good business. They want to see it still succeed. With you guys in your track record, I think that's an opportunity where you could scale very quickly if you really wanted to, if you find the right people. So appreciate it, man.
Awesome.
Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
You
for
do
having
for
me.
us, and thanks for joining the show, man.
Appreciate
And appreciate some of your feedback and the insight that you provided today. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Ciao.